On today's episode of the Back of the Bird, we sit down with arguably the most versatile lacrosse player on the planet, Blaze Riorden. Chat about his incredible story, mostly in box lacrosse, in this interview, but just a real story of resilience. Really inspiring stuff, actually. And I hope you enjoy some other stuff as well. Catching up on some news and notes around the league, a little bit of golf talk, a bit of a throwback for us, and lots of other good stuff as well. But let's get right into it. Episode 137 of the Back of the Bird.
Take your first ride and run, baby, run. If you want a sign, this is it. You're mad, you're magic, you're as hard as a gun. You wanna play with fire, consider this. You'll chase the thrill if it's worth the hit, 'cause you never ever wanna work for it. Take your first ride and run, baby, run. You got a spine of steel and a...
We are back. I don't have my phone in front of me. I think
137.
It's episode 137
Yep.
of Back of the Bird, presented by Cottage Springs, which, as always, get out there, try them out. I have been trying these the vodka water with the real juice. Let me tell you, Paulie, that's a dangerous golf cart drink.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait.
It's something special. And Donnie, I got a closet full of them to drop off to Donnie after the season wraps up here. Let's just kind of jump into it. I know we were chit-chatting before, but Paulie, what's going on with you? Mr. Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
And 100 career points. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
We've got the same amount of career
That's
points.
what we were talking about. People want to know what we were talking about. We're talking about Paulie having 100 career points.
Yeah, and I'm just laughing while JT daggered me too, which was hilarious. They gave me a ball like with a thing on it. So I was like, well, this is good. My dog needs another chew toy, but he's like, 100 points, that's good. He's like, what's that, like an average of 3 a year? It's like, yeah, pretty close. I'm like, how many seasons did you not have 100 points? But and then we were talking about Daner, like about the break his assist record, and it's like, it's crazy because I remember my brother set the assist record, broke like shooter's assist record, and like I'm looking at like the points like guys have now, and like I don't like it. It seems like the game's still like always been high scoring, but now guys, I know there's 2 extra games, but it's really only like 12 points if you want to put like a average. Like Dan thinks averaging 7, like, but it's like, my brother had, a couple 100-point seasons, but it's like, it seems like guys are getting so many more points, and they're all legitimate, but it's like, it's just like you look back like old scores, like guys hardly broke 100 points, like kind of like old NHL, like 90 points was a really good season in 16 games, and it's like, but man, like guys just fucking pour the points in now. It's crazy.
Paulie, do you think this is just a question? Do you think it's more like now if you're like the number one lefty or the number one righty on a team, you carry it like a lot more? Do you think that's like different than it used to be, where 2 or 3 guys are really carrying it a lot, or is that kind of similar when you broke into the league too?
Yes and no, but like I just think like when my brother broke the record in Boston, like he had the ball like almost the whole game, and like was solely a facilitator, and like had like 80 assists or something like that. I don't know what the record was or whatever, but it's like, and it seemed like you'd have these games like, man, that was a really good game, like, but now it's just like Dane and Josh getting, like, it's weird if they don't get 8 to 9 points. Jeff T, like, it's weird that they don't get 8 to 9 points. You know what I mean? And it's like, I'm not like, it doesn't seem like the game's changed, but guys just get way more points. And I'm not saying guys are getting more points like unnecessarily, because if you look at like Dane and Josh and Jeff and all these guys, like it's legitimate. I wonder if like back in the day, guys weren't getting points or like missing seconds. I don't know.
I think it's I would say, and this is so hypothetical and fully out of my ass that I'm pulling this, but looking at points per game, it's so consistent that they get that like 7 to 9 points a game, that like maybe that is the difference. Because like back in the day, sure, 75% of the time you're probably going to have that, but then there's
Yeah.
going to be like a 5-4 game that's like
Yeah.
just greasy, like
Yeah.
holding everybody, like can't really do much, and then it's like you come out of that game 0-1 or something,
Yeah.
and that just
For sure.
drops your average significantly.
Yeah. I was just thinking about it. Like, again, I don't really know where I'm going with this. Like, it's just,
Should we get our
it's
stat guys on it?
Well,
Well,
I
like, I
agree with
mean-
you, Paulie. Like the guys it's not a ton of guys, but like there's like 4 or 5 guys. Basically, your 2 teammates, Teeter, Fields, a couple other guys. Rezzy's up there this year, but guys. And to your point, Paul, I'm just looking through Dan's career stats. His career high was 78, and it sounds like that broke the record at the time.
Yeah.
Dane's got 99 right now, and he's got another game to play. And the record's 101, which he set last year. So it's like it's not just breaking the records; it's like crushing them.
Yeah, and it seemed like back then, not kind of like, not to bring in like the Gretzky Ovi chase, but it was like, man, it's like 70 assists. That's a shit ton of assists. Now it's like 100 easy for Daner. Like, no, like nothing. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It's interesting. Like, and again, like, it's all legitimate. It's fuck, man. These guys are so good, but like, I don't know. It's funny. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and obviously, I think there's a difference in games played too. But right now, there's
For sure.
6 guys at. So Fields has 75 assists, and he's 6th in assists. So there's probably 6 guys who are going to likely finish above 78
And that's what,
assists.
like, it's not just Daner. It's like all these guys are getting like 8 assists now a year. Like, it's interesting that the goal record hasn't been touched yet. I mean, guys are getting 50 like on the spot. It'd be interesting to see like back in the day how many 50 goal scorers there are, but like that seems like 5-6 guys get that every year no matter what. But like, it is interesting that no one's touched the goal record yet with all the guys that fucking shoot the ball now too. But
yeah, interestingly, on goals, only 1 guy's above 50 right now. That's Teeter. Smitty's at 47, Berg 45, Fields 44, Byrne 43. So all those guys have to have a huge weekend to get to 50. And then Dixon's got 43 goals with 2 games left.
yeah, definitely games played is gonna have a case for it, and maybe. But then it's like the league's so good too. Like you bring in like parity with like 9 teams. Like you say, Danny, maybe like back in the day the games weren't as high scoring. It'd be interesting to see like that. Like what were the average scores now compared to 10 maybe? I don't know. But
I'll crunch some numbers this week. How about this? I'll crunch some numbers next time. Next time we get on the call together, we'll have some results for the people.
Yeah, it's crazy, but man, like again, the league's in a fucking good spot. Like I thought the league was in a good spot with players back then, but it's like these guys crazy, dude. Crazy.
I agree. It's wild to.
And then that's the brunt of the joke is that Dane's got 100 assists this year, and I have a career high, or broke the 100-point record in my 18th or 19th season. But then it's like it's funny because if you put in hockey terms, like whatever I played, like whatever 200, it's like it's not a bad like hockey career, like 100 points in 200 something games.
You're getting a half a point a game over there.
Yeah.
You're in the Hall of Fame for an offensive player in the NHL.
For those wondering, by the way, we've covered this on the show before, but Paulie, in honor of you getting to 100 points, your most assisted player is your brother. 5 first assists, 6 second assists for 11 total assists to Dan. The only player who's ever assisted on 2 of your goals, Brad Self.
For a little fast break, fucking right.
There you go.
And you know what? You know what brings that full circle? Rochester traded Brad Self to pick me when we got to play together.
Wow. And then Brad Self signed Paul with Colorado.
Yep.
And trade me. But it's funny. I got more. I'll end up with more block shots and points.
Well, yeah, that's a fucking given.
And we didn't keep block shots for till what,
Yeah.
2022.
He's got 3 years of block shots already above his point total. I love that.
Yeah. For those wondering, by the way, he's got 986 loose balls, so 14 this weekend, and you could get there.
Paulie,
Yeah,
that you're
but
gonna have to
I was gonna
talk to
say,
Vino.
what's my career high? Like, I guarantee I've only eclipsed double digits like a handful of times, man.
Yeah, just talk to Vino.
Yeah.
Whenever he makes a save, just put it down in the crease, and then
I gotta
Yeah.
get. You know what I need? I need to get on the first face. I need to get on a face-off game. Get some easy ones from the milkman. Just let me hold the line, fire that bad boy back. Vino, don't touch it. Let me.
and then go straight scoop Veltman, drop it in your own end a couple times, and pick it back up.
Who's the basketball player who threw it off his own basket to get the triple double?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Just start playing wall ball.
Yeah.
16, man.
17, 18. All right, we got it.
Game on.
Yeah.
And 225 regular season penalties, by the way, according to NLSstats.com.
Speaking of kind of manipulating stats a little bit, did you see that NBA player that started the game, fouled the guy to keep his Iron Man streak going, started the game, fouled the guy, left the game?
Yeah, like what are we?
Well, Kessel did that when his kid was born.
Yeah, but that's a little bit different. Like his kid was born. This guy literally went in the game, fouled the guy, went out of the game, changed into his sweats, didn't play another second.
How about the guy in Columbus, Paul? Have you ever seen this happen where the Columbus guy got a 10-minute misconduct?
Yeah,
he must have gone like for zips or something, and then comes back and just jumps back into the game.
Yeah, I saw that, but it's like, how do you give a guy a 10 and not have him in the box?
I was thinking it must have been an equipment thing. Like he must have gone back for. Did you see this, Dan? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think it might have been the end of the period.
It was a Russian guy, and then like doesn't speak much English, so people like thought he didn't even know if he got a penalty or something. Like, yeah, it's fantastic though. Just back on the ice, refs like, wait a sec here.
Yeah. Donnie, what about you, buddy? I guess we didn't get to you there.
Yeah, not a whole lot. Tough one in Ottawa for us. Always nice playing close to home. Had a bunch of people there, so that was exciting. And wish obviously for a better result. It's been a tough one for us this year. So looking to finish strong. We got Calgary in Vegas this weekend, and unfortunately that's it. So looking forward to doing the fan appreciation stuff, autographs, all that good stuff. We've had a great crowd this year in Vegas. I think the future of the NLL in Vegas is really exciting, especially like from the fan perspective that people seem really jacked up about it. So looking forward to connecting with a lot of those folks this week.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So you think that like we won't go on to it, but you like that move from the Strip to where the AHL team plays? You think it's the right move?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit hard for me to say because the one game when we played there my first year, it was the very first game ever in Vegas, so it was packed. So that was like unreal. But I think it's not really realistic to get that all the time. But yeah, from our perspective, from a player's perspective, it's been great in Henderson. The rink is beautiful. It's very easy to get around. The Strip is obviously a lot. It's a lot like. I think that, talking to the guys, I think the best part about being where we are now is like game day logistics, like getting food, getting like Gatorade. Like there's a Whole Foods across the street from the rink. There's a great healthy restaurant that we go to. That stuff's all a lot easier. And obviously on the Strip, you play strip prices for everything. Obviously people are willing to pay that for like entertainment and stuff like that. But when you're getting smoked on Gatorade and things like that, it can get frustrating. So yeah, I think Henderson's been great. Our arena's beautiful. Obviously we wish it went better, and that's the goal is to get better. But off the floor, it's been great.
Okay. Well,
what's up with you, Dan?
Dude, nothing. I've resigned from my current job and taken a new job, and was given the old corporate walkout of my current job. So I'm getting paid to just do nothing, and it's giving me a little bit of a look into the life as a firefighter. So
Oh.
it's I'm just kidding, but it's been good. So I went last week. I went kind of off the cuff, and the new CEO was kind of all over me to say that I should try and get away because I'll never have like a gap like this again, and without any kids or responsibilities. At least ideally that won't happen. So I booked myself a little 12-day trip down to Costa Rica. So it'll be pretty good. So we've got some live volcano hiking, mile-long zip lines. I've signed up for surf school.
Nice.
I might never come home.
Nice.
So I'm excited. Don't worry, Mom. I know you're probably listening to this. I got medical insurance. I purchased that.
I'll turn on Find My iPhone before I go.
Yeah,
Dude,
she
like,
asked me.
there's a bunch of firefighters that have places there and stuff now. Like apparently Costa Rica's medical system's like unbelievable. That's
Yeah,
why
I've
like
heard,
people
I've
have
heard
like
it's good.
flocked down there because it's like legit.
And the real estate's like relatively cheap
Yeah.
too to get down there. So, and it's not very expensive. Like I'm staying at like this really nice like surf resort for the
Okay.
first few days, and it was like like maybe 150 Canadian a night. So it's like, and it's like you're not slumming it. Like things are nice.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I've got that coming up this weekend. Bachelor party in Montreal. So we're
When we
excited.
get back?
No, that's this upcoming weekend. I leave Friday morning. I come back Sunday. I go to Costa Rica Tuesday. So
At least you get a day between. That's all right. What's the lineup for Montreal? I did a bachelor party in Montreal. What a city!
You dog.
Yeah.
What a city.
What? Yeah, the way you said that.
We
Yeah.
did it
So,
like we did it in January too.
oh yeah, but you know what? You know what I realized? We're gonna be there for game one of the Canadians. Like they're gonna be on the road, but like if they're so the city's
Yeah,
probably gonna be
it'll
going
be
nuts.
buzzing. All the bars will be packed watching.
Yeah. So yeah,
And
we're gonna.
the city's always buzzing, dude. It's
I don't know many of these places. I don't think I've ever actually gone out in Montreal. Like went to a work conference there, but
you go
yeah,
on. You got to be going to Old Montreal at some point. Then I was hitting St. Catharines. I mean, whatever. It's
yeah, and then
unreal.
Wanda's, or the Shapery.
Yeah, the shit.
But yeah, then we're doing this golf pub crawl. I don't know if you guys have seen these. So
I think I've kind of heard it. Go ahead, though. Explain it.
yeah, so you dress up in like golf clothes, and you get a scorecard, and the scorecard's
Yeah.
got whatever. Say, I think it's got nine bars on it, and each bar is assigned a drink. So it's like a mixed drink, a beer, a shot, or whatever, and then it's given a par, and the par is how many sips it is to drink it. And then your score is however many sips you took, and then you write down your score, and then you have to spend like 20 minutes at each place or something, and then like by the end of it, it's like. If you throw up, you get 4 strokes added to you or something like that. So, yeah, we're doing that before dinner on Saturday. So that'll be
nice.
interesting.
Okay.
So,
We're gonna get super banged up and then go sit down for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
That's
What
good.
else would you rather do? And then just eat some steak.
we did that for our bachelor party. So we went to Old Montreal and whatever. We just did a tour of downtown, and I overindulged. We went to like hibachi for dinner, so got like our own private room. And I'll send you guys a picture, but legit, I was sleeping in the corner, like couldn't pull it together. I was just sleeping in the corner, like literally in the corner. The flames are going. I'm just out cold in the corner. Couldn't do it. Montreal. I end up like rallying and going out that night, but I needed
Good
like
for you.
2 hours off of dinner, like just
That's
straight
impressive.
sleeping dinner.
That's a hell of a rally.
Yeah.
Switching back to a little bit of lacrosse talk here. Paul, you obviously couldn't get on last time, but I think it was maybe 2 times ago, but Dan and I ripped open some of those World Championship cards, and one of them was a Charlotte North autograph card. Apparently, it's like worth like $200.
Wow, wrap that bad boy up. Get that in the hard
So
plastic.
we might be
Rosie's gonna be all over you for a trade.
yeah, we might be making some money here. And good news, Tim's hockey cards are back. There's rookie cards back this month. So
I saw that with
back on my bullshit.
That commercial with Crosby and McKinnon was pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a great interview for you with Blaze Riorden here, but first, maybe we'll kick it to the interview, and then we'll do our golf talk after, Paulie, because holy fuck do we have to debrief on whatever happened yesterday. But yeah, that's Donnie. I'll throw it over to you for the PO Athletic interview.
Yeah, this interview is brought to you, as they all are, by PO Athletic, a great new skincare for athletes, a new brand that we are working with. Use code BOTB10 for 10% off everything. Really excited to be working with them. They have cleansers, deodorant, wipes for either you or someone in your family. If you got lacrosse players in your family, kids or whatnot, the wipes are great for times when showers are not available, but a bunch of great products. And you can find them at the link in the show notes, or also on our social media or on Lacrosse Culture Daily, where every Back of the Bird episode gets posted. But yeah, BOTB10 is the code for 10% off everything at PO Athletic. Let's kick it right now to Blaze Riorden. Okay. Our next guest is arguably the most versatile player in the world today. He's the captain of the Philadelphia Wings, where he plays forward, and is a PLL and world champion as a goaltender in field lacrosse. He's also been named the PLL Goaltender of the Year on 5 separate occasions and was the PLL MVP in 2021. A native of Fairport, New York, he was an All-American at UAlbany before joining professional lacrosse. Welcome to Back of the Bird, Blaze Riorden.
Thanks for having me, fellas. Fired up to be here.
5-time goalie of the year. Let the boys have a shot here. Holy smokes!
Yeah, don't tell that to Dauber. I'll tell you that I can feel him on my back right now.
He finally listened to the Back of the Bird episode where I chirped him about his interview where he said a goalie can change a series or something like that. But so hopefully he's tuning into this one too. But yeah, what's going on with you lately, man? Where are you at these days?
I'm in Philadelphia. I'm a married man. Been in Philly now for, since I've been on the Wings, but really dynamic of life change. You turn 30 years old and you get gray hairs and you get married and, you find less time for yourself and more time for chores and family walks and, sitting down and having dinner. But life's good. I got no complaints on my end. And I'm sure if you ask my wife, she might tell you differently. But from my point of view, I'm doing all the right things. That's my laundry.
Spoken like a married man. I love that. From my point of view, I'm doing all the right things. That's great.
Depends who you ask.
When did you guys do the Philly move?
I did the Philly move the first year back with the when the Wings came to town. It started as, like we called ourselves the Philly Frat. They had us right on Drexel's campus in the high-rise apartments. It was like me, Chris Cloutier, Frank Brown, Baptiste, Rambo, Anthony Jokum. We were just doing college without the classes. And then, as times evolved, the dynamics changed a lot, but still a Philly guy and, big Birds guy, so perfect timing for that.
Where were you for the Super Bowl?
We went over to the Mercy Street Ranch, or the Wings house, and fireworks are legal in Philadelphia and in Pennsylvania, and I love lighting fireworks off. And by halftime, there's a couple Roman candles that didn't make their way out of the house, so there's a couple, big explosions in the house, and yeah, lost my privileges real quick.
Oh, that's good. Well, I think we like to rewind the clocks a little bit and go back to the beginning. So walk us through how you picked up a stick growing up in Fairport.
Yeah, Fairport, New York, home of one of the most legendary lacrosse players, in my opinion, Tim Sudan, who happened to be my PE coach, my lacrosse coach, and my dad's best friend, one of his best friends. And my dad gave me a stick at an early age. My dad played, and I was around all the right guys at the right time, and fell in love with the game early at the age of 4, and was lucky to have Pseudo and my dad. And at the time, lacrosse isn't where it is today. Wasn't where it was today. Like, I was so lucky to have guys that knew the game, and learn that at a young age. I remember being like 5th and 6th grade lacrosse, and we're running 1-4-1 mumbos, and guys knew what a 2-2-2 was, and just way ahead of our time. And that carried all throughout my high school career. Had a lot of success in high school. All my best friends we were all lacrosse players that played football during football season, but we all went to college to play lacrosse, and those bonds grew over time. And just really lucky to grow up somewhere, and never missed a Nighthawks game. I was in the locker room all the time, and it kind of brings full circle. Like, my wife's dad's Reggie Thorpe, one of the original K-Hawk members that I grew up watching. So it's crazy how life works.
That's hilarious. So when did you become a goalie? Like, when you started playing, are you playing out, and then how do you get into goalie?
Yep, I was a goal scorer for sure. And I think it was probably about like 3rd, 4th grade. My dad was coaching, and I smoked our goalie in the hand, and no one wanted to play goalie. And my dad's like, "You did it, man! Like, you're hopping in there." And he got me geared up. I had the shin pads, all the pads, and we used to watch The Christmas Story all the time. And I looked like Ralphie when he was all, in his winter get up. And I was like, "I'm not wearing these pads, man." And my dad's like, "If you cry, you're putting the pads back on if you get hit." I was like, "All right." We're like 3 tournaments in. I kind of like goalie now. I don't have the pads on. Greg Caholen, he's like 2 years older than me. Going to University of Virginia, can shoot the ball 95 miles per hour in like 9th grade. Just rings me bad. And everyone went running over to the sideline. We're at the Irondequoit Invitational, and my dad's like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Your goalie called a timeout." I sprinted off the field. I was crying in the woods, crying my eyes off. After that, my dad upgraded my goalie stick from the one that that Fairport Youth Lacrosse loaned out to get my own first goalie stick, and kind of stayed that way, throughout my career. And I got throughout high school. During the summer, we usually had 2 goalies on our travel team. So the goalie I wasn't when the other goalie was in, I'm like, "I'm not going to stand around here. I'll play attack." And Coach Marr actually saw me as an attackman and recruited me as an attackman. And he had no idea that I played goalie. And I was like, "Hey, by the way, I play goalie." He's like, "Oh, well, we got a goalie in your grade already. Ryan Riccadelli's Chaminade kid." And I was like, "Well, I'm more kind of known as goalie. Like, Maryland's really up my ass, like, to play goalie." And he's like, "Oh, well, you can play goalie too, but you can just like play man up and goalie. You know who Brett Queener is?" I'm like, "Yeah, Brett Queener is my idol." He goes, "Perfect. I'll do that. I'll give you the same treatment I gave Brett Queener." Showed up 2 days later on campus. He showed up with a straw hat on, flip flops, daps me up, gives me a hug, shows me a tour of the locker room. He's like, "Oh, what stick do you like to use?" I'm like, "Oh, I like the Eclipse." He goes, "Oh, no, player stick." I'm like, "Oh, shit, you're being serious." He's like, "Yeah, you're going to play man up and goalie." I was like, "I'm definitely coming to school here." Kind of ripped him right out of Tillman's hands. I was set on being a Terp and red shirt and going through that process, and straw hat, Scotty Marr, and flip flops, and my life changed forever.
And you actually did play man up a little bit when you got there, right? I read that. We'll talk about you scored the famous goal against Cornell, but you also scored before that in your college career as a player.
I did, and it was funny because Albany, it's a spring sport, but half the time you're in winter clothes. It's 10 degrees and snowing. And my freshman year, every time the flag would go down, I would just haul it to the box, put elbow pads on, grab a stick. And like the first 3 games, like I was known as the guy that could pick up any lacrosse stick and use it. So I'd even have my own man up stick. I would just, whoever was closest to the box, I'd be like, "Yo, give me your stick." And I'd like grab their stick, and I would be like
Hey,
lefty shooter.
how bad does that guy feel? You just grab his stick.
Yeah.
And he's going on the field like, hey, why can't I get on there? No.
Hey, you're not going to need this right
taking
now.
your stick
Let me borrow that for a second. I'll give it back. You just
You had more college goals with his stick than he did. That's good.
Yeah.
That's a tough one to swallow.
Yep. And so I would be out there, but I'm in sweatpants all the time. And finally, we're playing against someone, and they're arguing with the refs, saying that I couldn't be on man up because I had sweatpants on and I wasn't wearing the shorts that everyone else was wearing. So I was like, oh shit. So I started wearing shorts, and then I kind of lost, like, I was like, oh, this is cool. I was having fun doing it, but I was like, there's other guys, and everyone's giving me shit all the time on the weekends. Like, come on, man. Like, why can't I just be the man up guy? Like, why do you have to do both? And there's this kid on our team, Derek Eccles, and his mom made the best strawberry homemade jam ever. And before the game, he was like, dude, just let me play man up this game. And I'm like, give me your peanut butter and jelly sandwich with your mom's homemade jam, and I will tell coach that I'm not playing because I want to wear sweatpants. Sure enough, he gives me the PB&J. I go up to coach, yo, I'm wearing sweatpants today. I can't do man up. Derek Eccles goes in, man up.
That's incredible.
Yeah, just in my glory, just in my locker. Just that was the best deal ever.
Like, I didn't even want to do
it faded out from there. But yeah, my first 2 years, I put in a couple shifts as the shooter on man up, playing with the Thompson boys, spinning it around. Yeah,
I was gonna say the one video that's come out kind of more recently this year, but I assume it's been going on for a while, was the video of the whole team singing Pearl Jam in the locker room before games. Is that something that's gone on for ages, even when you were there?
Forever. Coach Marr loves Pearl Jam, loves banging the air guitar with his Woody in his hand at the middle of the field. And we had music rolling every practice. Half the time we're going over stuff you can't even hear what he's saying because Pearl Jam's just rocking. And someone convinced them, like, hey, like, let us play some of our tunes like one of these days for practice. And he's like, all right. Our tunes go on. We didn't even get through a song and a half. Right back to Pearl Jam. So yeah, a lot of Pearl Jam went on, and we did the singing in the locker room as well. And he was the best at bringing people together. And we knew the main parts of the song, but we were mumbling half the song too. And he's looking at you, like staring at you, because he's upset you don't know the real words, and you're like, going along with it. He's just making sure everyone's in tune. So yeah, he's the man. Probably the biggest Pearl Jam fan I've ever met.
Paulie, that's like your. I've stuck with song names, but the song when everyone mumbles it and then everyone goes, "Hey, must be the money." No one knows the first couple words, and then everyone's on beat for that part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tune them right in. Well, so growing up, when you're, you mentioned obviously, you spend a lot of time with Pseudo, and there's a lot of good lacrosse minds, in that upstate area that were, more specifically Fairport, Rochester, kind of around there. Were you playing box at the same time? Like, were you guys doing like a version of box or anything like that, or was it all field?
Yeah, we played the most American box ever. We were inside of a box, but it was field lacrosse nets, and there was like a midline that you couldn't cross if you were attacked, but there was even long poles in there. And I was like, I never played a goalie inside. Like, I think my sophomore year of high school, I was still competing for the spot, and we'd do these gym practices, and I would get in for those. But like from an early age on, like if anything was inside, I wasn't playing goalie. I'm like, I can't see the ball. This is, I'll get hit, but I'm not doing it without being able to see it. And my dad like kind of had my back on that. So yeah, we played long pole box lacrosse where you had to stay on sides, and we weren't allowed to moving pick or, any rules of box lacrosse. But yeah, that was about the closest that I got to, playing real box until my freshman year of college that summer when Ty Thompson invited me down to Akwesasne to try out for the Junior B Indians. And, that's really where it took off for me.
So did you make that team right off the bat then?
Yep, I went down there, made the team. And it was like I didn't really know what to expect. I wore a field helmet. The first game we played the Gloucester Griffins. I was in Gloucester on a Tuesday night. Taking my neck guard off my helmet. Because I wasn't going to run around with my goalie neck guard on. And I come in the locker room. It's like Brandon Francis is our coach. I'm like, fuck. I've watched this guy. With the high socks bandit land. I'm like, this is going to be insane. And like, you go down our roster. It's like Seth Oaks, Kason Tarbell, Abby Bomberry. We just got pros like up and down it, and everyone's kind of they're welcoming me, but I'm learning how to tape my bicep pads on, and so everything was new to me. And they played me the first game and I was horrible, and Garrett Cree comes up to me and he's like, hey man, if you're gonna have a big body you got to use it for something. And I was like, what does that mean? And he's like, you didn't set one fucking pick out there. And I was like, oh yeah. He's like, just run into him. I'm like, okay. Next game, we're playing Ganawaga. I'm just running around, just not even looking for the ball, just running into everyone. And one of the announcers started calling me Pinball. That Blaze Riorden, he's like a pinball out there. So from there on out, the rest of that season, I was just pinball. I probably had 10 goals in 12 games and set about 98 picks a quarter, a period. So that's kind of where I got my feet wet a little bit. Got my opportunity.
Do you think that doing that, like playing in those close quarters and obviously like the in tight hands and everything like that, does that help, or like when you're transitioning to goalie, or do you think it's like it kind of takes you a few games to do that switch over now when you do switch from playing player to goalie?
Yeah, I'm not at this point in my career. I just go with it's like riding a bike. I probably see less than 10 shots before the first PLL game. I watch some of these goalies walking around training camp, just ice bags from head to toe. And I'm like, I'm saving my bruises. So I get warmed up, I'll get warmed up and just hop in and play. That's it.
You just put up the 5, eh? Just the 5.
I don't say a word when I'm in. I don't say a word when I'm in the goal. I don't say a word to anyone. I will not talk shit to anyone. I'm like, these guys could pepper me somewhere I don't want to. I make 7 saves on them. They score one time, and it's like I feel like I lost that battle. Being a goalie is a lonely world when it comes to opening up your mouth. You could be a fast break. He dunks it on you, and he's fucking staring you down and letting you hear. I'm like, yeah, I'm not putting myself in that situation.
yeah, run from that one.
Was that the same in college, Blaze? Were you taking a lot of shots throughout the week in school, or it's kind of been the same for most of that time?
No, in college, I was, I almost took I think I took about every rep. Just something kind of changed over time where, reaping the benefits and just kind of the way the pro practices are laid out. A lot of it is just, you get your 6s in, but it's like roll out stationary 4-on-3s. And, with the skill level of these guys now, it's like you're just giving a dude that can shoot 100 miles per hour like a free 8-yard crow hop. I'm like, that's not helping my confidence. That's not going to make me a better player, So I think that's kind of where my mentality started to kick in a little bit, was when I got to the pros. But I grinded the MLL days as Galloway's backup. They adopted the 2-point horseshoe, before and after practice. And that was kind of my responsibility. So the long poles, the face-off guys, John Rannigan, all these dudes are just, helmet and gloves with a penny on and no shirt underneath, just, throwing the ball up a couple times themselves, making sure it's right under the shooting string, and then taking 14 crow hops in to let one fly at me. So,
well, I remember that like 2017 year. I think it was Kip Orban broke your thumb doing that drill.
Shattered it.
He could whistle the ball, but I don't even think he knew where it was going half the time. And it was kind of an unwritten rule. Like it was like shoot high, like get the goalie sticks kind of moving and stuff. Just right in like the off stick hip thumb, and then I think you were out for a bit after that, right?
Yeah, I was out for that. That was honestly probably the most time I've missed in my professional career, and I would always laugh because everyone knew that Kip was a Princeton guy and he was working, on Wall Street, and you'd show up and he'd be pulling his fucking stick out of the bag, out of the stick carrier in his bag. I go, That's not a good sign. He did not use that thing all week, and he couldn't aim as it was. So I'm like, oh, here we go. You notice that stuff as a goalie a lot of the times. I'm like, that's the same tape job, and that mesh does not look like it got a lot of work this week. So it's just a little nuances you pick up of guys, But was that the same year, Dan? Was that the same year that Eric Dejean came to practice? He went to Cuse, and then he went to St. John's, and he took Mike Manley behind for a one-on-one during sixes and roasted him. And then the next time Manley let him run by him and then just two-handed him in the back.
I don't remember that, but it rings a bell. It rings a bell that guy was around.
He goes, yeah, no, we don't do that. We don't do that, bud.
Yeah, not here. Dude, the other funny one, that was like the two, not to go on a full tangent, the two games I played that year. The next one we were like, it was Jojo Marasco was like struggling a bit. And I think they traded a decent amount for him to get him from New York. And at halftime, or no, at the end of the game after we played Boston, and we shouldn't have beat Boston, but we did. And Sudo was like, you're lucky you pulled it together there and had a goal and 2 assists, or else I was going to trade you. And like everybody laughs. 2 days later, he traded him.
Oh yeah, Sudo's very blunt. Sudo's a very, you think he's joking, but he's actually serious.
Oh yeah, because he like kind of looks at you and like sideways with like his hand on his hip, and he's like, you probably shouldn't do that. And then he's just straight to the point. He's like, hey, pass the ball. It's like, yep, no problem. I'll get off. But take us back to kind of like Donnie brought it up, but what's going through your mind when you're running down the field against Cornell with the ball in your stick? Are you just hearing the Celine Dion song in your head, just ready to go down and end crush some dreams, or what?
I just heard myself breathing real heavy. That's just heavy breathing. Just heavy breathing. No, honestly, like it wasn't planned. But there was probably about 3 or 4 times that year that I ran the ball up and tried to start a fast break or missed a shot. So it wasn't like foreign territory. But in the practice, every practice the night before the game, Coach Mar does this thing where like all the starters will roll them a ball, you scoop it up, you run down the field, throw it to Lyle at the point, he BTBs it to Seth Oaks, throws it to Connor Fields, they throw it back, you bury. And usually you take your shirt off. So we're shirtless. Everyone just, gets a bury. So it's my turn. So I go running down, throw it to Lyle. And they said not to throw it back to me. So he's faking it at me, throwing it to Seth Oaks. They don't throw me the ball back. And I'm like, fuck you guys. I said, next time I get the opportunity, I'm not passing any of you fuckers. Sure enough. And Lyle tells the story after the game on the interview. And I was like, I wasn't going to tell anyone that. But I come down, Connor Fields is wide open. He's calling for the ball. Fields, he wants his. I look right at him. Fuck you. Throw the fake, look up. The seas have just parted. I'm like, all right, go time. Take the shot. Don't selly with anyone because they looked me off in practice. And also because I knew every guy was going to be like, yo, how tired were you? You were so tired. I was like, watch this. Sprinted my ass all the way back to the crease so no one could say shit to me. I was like, leave me alone. My defensemen are trying to hug me. I just run right through them. Everyone's trying to get me on. No chance, boys. I'm making it all the way back. So.
And then you're just sitting there praying that you guys win the next face-off, so you don't have to like be talking during a defensive set.
Yeah, there was only like maybe 9 seconds left in the quarter. It was the third quarter. I remember being pretty aware of the time, and it was Dan Littner was on the crease. They tried to throw it to him, and if you watch the video, our defenseman like barely touches him, and it looks like he got shot with a shotgun. He like does the full flop back. The ball is just sitting right in front of me. I'm like, here we go. So
love that.
I can't even watch that clip. My brother was on Cornell. I was just a dagger play. If you're a Cornell fan, I can't even watch that clip. It's a great story. To hear you tell it. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, honestly, Chris, the goalie's name was Christian Knight at the time, and in the handshake line, he was like, dude, that was awesome. And I'm walking off the field, and this dude, his dad had like longer hair, looked kind of like a typical surfer, and he's like, hey, Riorden, and like I go over, he goes, oh, that was my son you scored on, man, like that was awesome, like daps me up, and you know, it was cool because as a goalie, you feel for it because I'm like, you know, you're on the other side of that. It sucks, you know. Like I have a cardinal rule for my defense, like at all cost, like the goalie's not even getting a shot on me. Like leave your guy on the crease wide open to go get the goalie at midline. Like don't even give him a chance to shoot the ball on me. Like
Do you ever think, like, watching college games now with all the 10-man rides and the full field goals, do you ever think about, like, how many goals you could have maybe scored? Like, the kid from Rutgers has, like, 3 this year.
Crazy.
All from basically his own end.
It's crazy. I was actually I was thinking that too, but you're seeing like coast to coast. There was a kid in a D3 game against Cortland. The goalie had 2 goals. He had a coast to coast that he ran down and scored, and then he had a 10-man ride that he threw in the net. I'm like, you know, the position's evolving a little bit, but I was looking on the Mitch Pelkey podcast, and they were trying to argue that face-off goals are more juice goals or long pole goals are more juice goals than goalie goals. I was just boiling. I was like 7:30 in the morning, like sitting on the couch. I was just getting ticked off. I'm like, how are you not telling me that a goalie goal is the biggest juice goal in lacrosse? Like, who gave these guys the platform to even argue a Fogo goal? Like,
yeah, no.
The Fogo runs down with a crooked stick and it bounces in the middle of the net and goes in. Like, give me a break, you know? Don't tell Trevor that. He's pulled up from 2 on me before, but
yeah, a goalie goal is 1A, and then 1B is a goalie on man up goal. I think.
Yeah.
That's my 1B. That one will get you if you score. That would be a hell of a game if you scored a man up goal in that Cornell game too. It'd be.
Wow.
I mean, you're almost at the Blaze Riorden hat trick there. So, walk us through kind of. So once you finish at Albany, did you went up and you played some senior A, didn't you? In was it Brampton?
Yeah, I played 2 games with Brampton, and Paulie, you were on the team. Your brother was on the team, and we were playing against Coburg, and you know, it's my first senior A game, and you know, Brody Burkhoff's out there and giving everyone the business. And I didn't know a lot of the guys. I just flew in. I was actually living in Florida at the time. I was like, took like a 2-connector Frontier flight to like make it to Coburg. They drove the car out at, you know, halftime. I'm like, oh, this is legit. But I didn't know a lot of the guys. It's my first time, you know, being in the room, and, you know, there's a scrum and Burkhoff's, you know, ragging my head against the boards, and Dan came over and was like, hey, Brody, you got 2 options, me or my brother. And like from there on, like I just remember like it's stuck in the back of my head. I was like, fuck, man, like this is what, you know, the Canadian box, you know, culture, you know, that I didn't have a lot of that experience until I started playing box lacrosse, that like really fucking hit me deep. Like this dude doesn't even know who I am. Like he's the most respectable guy in the game. Like I'm kind of a nobody, just, you know, trying to be someone. And, you know, the fact that he just came up and, you know, had my back. And, you know, I think that's the beauty of, like, you know, you talk about the hockey culture, and, you know, that's the beautiful thing about box lacrosse, and, you know, the part that makes playing in the National Lacrosse League, you know, the best league to play in.
I love it. That's a great story. I have a different one from playing against Pauline Sr. when he was threatening to fight me, but so. And then, I mean, after that, and then you go undrafted. Is that right, to the NLL?
Yeah, I went undrafted. Doug Locker was the Vancouver was the Vancouver GM at the time, and, you know, I don't know, like I played in 2015. I played on Team USA. I was the only collegiate guy. I'm playing with like Casey Powell, like, you know, I'm playing against Team Canada. I know I was a junior B guy, like one of founders, like. I was like, shit, I think I've done enough. Like, and Doug Locker calls me like, hey, like, we like you, like 3rd, 4th round. Like, are you interested in playing? I'm like, I'll go anywhere. I just want a shot. I'm full-time. I'm all in on lacrosse. So I had about 40 people over at my mom's house to have a draft party. You know, she's got the cookie cake. You know, I saw it on top of the fridge. It says, congrats. She calls me Big. I'm the bigger brother. It's me and my younger brother, Connor. Congrats, Big, with the exclamation marks. Like, sitting there. I'm like, yeah. Vancouver's up next, you know, 4th round, 5th round, 6th round, nothing. Everyone's just sitting there looking at me. The draft goes by. I just ran up into the room, ripped my sheets off my bed. I was going ballistic. Everyone walked out, went home. None of the snacks were eaten. The cookie cakes just sitting on the fridge. And at the time, I was staying at my mom's house, and I remember it was like 7 a.m. I get a knock on my door, and I was like, my mom never does this. It's my dad. Hey, shithead, you got two options. Go apply for a job or grab your stick and helmet and come meet me outside. And I was like, well, I'm definitely not going to apply for a job right now. And my dad's like, let's go. We're going to shoot. So he made the mistake of letting me drive. And he's like getting me fired up before. He's like, they're going to sleep on you until you're there. Like, make them feel you, whatever. I'm looking at him. I'm all pissed. Fuck Doug Locker. I'm driving the car like 85 miles per hour, just staring at him. Hey, slow down. He's yelling at me. We get there, we shoot. Eventually, I get a chance to go to Buffalo, and they brought 9 lefties in, and I was like, here we go, and got in the best shape of my life. Like, lost 75 pounds, and got an opportunity with Buffalo, and that's. I honestly can say like that 2017 year was, from what I experienced now, like kind of the last of like the old school NLL era. Like Billy D. Smith was the captain, like Steiner, Andrew Watt, like, David Brock. Like you had this, I think there was like probably 9 or 10 Americans on an active roster at the time in 2017. And now you go to see what it is now, and it's like, it feels like it's changed a lot over the last couple of years, but it was definitely a eye-opening team to be a rookie on, when those guys are carrying all their bags through the, hey, Pee-wee, go get me a coffee, like carry my bag through the airport. Billy D's, hey, goalie boy, called me goalie boy. I'm like, yes, Billy. He's like, go get me a drink. Okay, Billy. So learned a lot through those years, and had a really, really memorable and challenging year as a rookie. Leave it at that.
I would imagine. I mean, and even I mean, it's a cool story, man, and one I think that people can kind of listen to and use, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, that year you go on to win like Rookie of the Year for the Bandits too, right?
Yeah, I did, and I remember Justin Martin was an everyday defenseman, rookie, everyday defenseman, but he did just J Mart doesn't say a lot all the time, but he played every game. He was like getting man down shifts. Like I played 9 games and had like 6 goals, like, but I remember they hand out the award and and someone mentions like, fuck, J Mart really got the short end of the stick. And all the guys like, fuck, I didn't even realize J Mart was a rookie. Like, like he should have 100% gotten that award, but yeah, I got the Wooden Award. Cowboy, we called him. He was the fan of the year that year. He presented him. So everyone was saying me and Cowboy are twins. So I have to own a Cowboy hat. So.
Oh, that's good. What was your favorite part of playing in Buff?
I just, honestly, I think it was one of the first, going up to the res and playing junior ball, I had Ty, and, the transition wasn't easy, but I just feel like I was never like, I was just out of my comfort zone a lot. Troy Cordingley, I was, Coach Marr was, playing the air guitar. My high school coach was like, the nicest guy in the world. I don't think, I got yelled at a lot throughout my lacrosse career. And like, you have these legends, and like Billy, who's like as intense as it gets, like willing to fight his like brother-in-law Mark during practice, and Troy Cordingley's, digging into you at a Tuesday, like calling you out, telling you you're not going to be anyone, like trying to get the most out of you. And I just felt like throughout that entire season, like, it got me to a point where I was like getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think that really helped, allow me to create a career after getting cut. After getting cut by them, I went and worked for UPS, played in the Arena Lacrosse League, but like I didn't once like be like, I played a couple games in 9LL as an undrafted goalie, like that was it. Like that experience made me be like I want to be a part of this, and continue to. I wasn't satisfied being a 9 game guy that got a couple headlines as the goalie that scored on the SBs, and now is playing offense in this league, and I've carried that through my career thus far.
So you go from the Bandits, and then you play in the ALL that rest of that year, which I think is like sick. Like people just you got to keep playing, and then you get on with the Wings the next year, the first year back in Philly. So how does that process go? I was reading that I think Paul Day found you through the ALL. Is that kind of how it shook out?
Yeah, so I was actually living in Sarasota, Florida with Casey Powell. He goes, "Come down to Florida, start lacrosse with me. I got a place for you to live." I was like, "All right." Drove my Jetta down. His RV was parked outside of the most famous circus clown in. His name was Bobo in like circus history, and he had this huge practice facility that he would practice like his tight roping and all of his stuff. And the RV had no running water or electricity. I'm parked next to Bobo's practice facility, and we're doing lacrosse. And Gavin Prout was the coach for the Whippy Steelhawks at the time. He's like, "Hey, come play." And I was like, "I live in Florida, man. Like, I don't think I can drive 27 hours to the game." And he's like, "Nah, nah." He's like, "We'll take care of you." So like, sends me the registration. I'm like, I'm like, fuck. I only have like $420, man. Like, this registration's $295. I got you covered. I'm like, all right, I'll figure out a way to get to some of these games. So I remember driving to my first arena lacrosse game from Florida, 28 or some hours. And after that, I explained to him, I'm like, I don't think I can do this. And we won the game, and he helped me out and took care of me. And we ended up winning the championship. And I laugh. I said, "You would have thought we won the Super Bowl, when Prouder's in charge of the celebration." He crosses the T's and dots the I's. We won, and everyone knew it. But yeah, after that, PD reached out, and I got another opportunity, and I told him, I was like, "Look, I'm all in. Like, I'll move down to Philly." And he's like, "Oh, there's this guy Matt Rambo. He's another American. We're gonna have you guys." And me and Rambo became best friends. I didn't know much of him before that. Like, I knew who he was, but never built a relationship. And kind of continued and evolved. And if I say, you've been building something for 6 years now in Philly. I have 6 youth box lacrosse teams that I run. I've been to a million schools. Like, you're in the community, and you just kind of build a home. And I've been lucky to be in Philly for as long as I have. And it goes by fast, but from day one until now, it's changed a lot. My life because of it.
Yeah, it's crazy though. And then like, I mean, I didn't really know. I knew you played a little bit of summer box, but I didn't realize like all the ALL and stuff and just the grind to get there. But then it's like, you become, a legit NLL player, and then now you're the captain of Philly. Like you say, you're kind of embodying the community and stuff like that. But like when you get named captain, like it's obviously kind of like one of the highest honor in sports, no matter what sport it is. Like take us through kind of that announcement, like how to come about, because you must have felt like, holy fuck, man, like this has all been worth it. Start off with driving 90 miles per hour to a box with your old man, and now you're the captain of a fucking storied franchise.
Yeah, honestly, I was at the gym with Mitch Jones when I got the call, and when PD called me to first tell me, I was like, because I have so much respect. Like, we joke around, like we'd do like the rookie quizzes, and Rambo like couldn't even name every team in the league. Like, like he was just like football and net, box lacrosse, same thing. Like, I grew up, like I knew every team, I knew every player. Like, I was just engulfed in understanding every nuance of box lacrosse. Like, I can name rosters from head to toe. And honestly, it was weird. The first feeling that I got, and I was at a point in my career where, I've won a world championship. I've had success in the PLL. Like, I was like, do I deserve this? I was like, like I know my story, and I'm not saying that I'm the biggest grinder that, I'm like, these dudes have dedicated their fucking lives to this and like have have been doing it for a while. I'm an American guy that comes in, trying to just prove my point and be the best teammate that I can be. And, it's handed to me. I'm like, there was a moment of like not self-doubt, but like shit, like, and then it kind of hit me and I was like, this is the most, honorable thing that could happen to me, at this point in my career. And, I think I was more happy that, they chose me because I've always made it a point to be the best teammate that I could be. And, you go to the PLL where you're winning all these accolades left and right. And, it didn't change who I was. I knew my role. I know my role in the NLL. And like, I could give a shit less about myself, in these scenarios, and having an opportunity to wear the C and, bring a team together and, build these relationships and continue to put the team first is, honestly, the best part of it. But I also have a lot of respect for the people that have come before me and, have worn a C in the National Lacrosse League. And, you know, if there's anything to go for it is, don't give up on your dreams. I didn't get drafted. It's American goalie, and I never quit and used doubt and used you know mistakes to learn and continue to grow. And here I am, and hopefully, you know, a young American kid, is getting into box lacrosse at an earlier age and has the same dream, and that's all you can hope for, as this game continues to grow.
You're getting me juiced. You're getting me juiced up. But it's okay, on that topic, like, kind of again to like go off of maybe just your own personal story right now because it came to mind. That's always been an interesting thing to me. Like, how do we get these young American kids growing up interested in the game? Like, there's such a following for the PLL, and they've done such a good job for all of that stuff. How do you get a kid from Baltimore to like fall in like a field lacrosse kid to fall in love with box lacrosse? Is it just talking about it? Is it getting in front of them? Like, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if you do, but it's just something that kind of popped in my head.
We just had our fan appreciation night for the Wings. So after the game, we signed autographs, and Mitch Armstrong, he's, a younger 21-year-old kid, he was engaged in the fans the entire time, so asking them questions, asking the kids questions. Some people were just trying to get their John Hancock on and pass them on, but he was engaging, and I was sitting next to him, and, the amount of kids that he asked, hey, do you play lacrosse? And they're like, no, I don't play lacrosse. He's like, oh, why are you coming to the Wings games? Oh, I love watching the Wings games. I love watching the hits. I love watching this and that. And it's like, that's eye opening. This kid doesn't even, this kid doesn't even play lacrosse, but he has seen it firsthand and like the entertainment aspect of it. And at a point, I just don't think enough, field lacrosse players are making an effort to make it to a box game. And I thought with the New York Riptide being on Long Island, you talk about Long Island being a hotbed, that it would present a great opportunity for that. And obviously, as well as anyone, it just didn't get to that point. But I just think, every kid that tries it in my program, I send out a Google form at the end of the year. Would you like, would you didn't like? And I always ask. I just ask because I'm interested to know, because I know how I feel. I'm like, do you like box lacrosse or field lacrosse more? And, I would say probably over 75% of the responses that I get are box lacrosse. And to me, it's like, okay, so why isn't, and I think it is more. I think more kids are, aware, and the Canadians are making more of an impact in NCAA lacrosse now too. Like, they're starting to dominate all over. All universities are, adapting to bringing in the Canadian kids. And I think it will continue to grow organically over time. But the National League, you think about where the American markets, and compared to the Canadian ones. And I remember there used to be a team in Boston, Paul, you played for them. It's like big markets, have that opportunity to bring that buzz around, and in Philly, it's huge. All my kids know all the teams. They follow along. They love watching it. I just think, the availability to get to a game and having the resources of having NLL guys, come to your practices and clinics and see them in school programs, I think only continues to grow that, organically.
We're talking about USA Box. You've obviously been able to play USA Box a few times with the men's team. I think this guy was your coach, but we just had Tom Ryan on our last episode. Was he around any of those teams? And I think he coached them. In any good TR stories?
Yeah, I was not lucky enough to be around TR. I did watch him growing up, and I remember the dreads, and I actually watched the episode of him talking about it. And no, I started in 2015, and it was Tony Rush, Adam Miller, and yeah, he was the one before me. I think he was a part of the Heritage Cup team that beat Canada or Haudenosaunee for the first time ever, right? He was part of that group. So
got it.
He's definitely one of the American innovators during that time, with the dreads and his style of play. And but you talk to him, I'm watching the interview and he's just breaking it down. He's just so intelligent. I'm like,
yeah.
Like he was way ahead of his time, when it came to his style of play.
For sure.
Talk to us a little bit about, because I had a brief stint with it, but I love when guys who were a part of it get to speak about just, man, like that Rattlers team was such a different team. Like it was, because I think obviously, coming from playing, I think that was after my rookie year in the NLL. So you get a taste for like close teams. And I think that Rochester, the Nighthawks team was pretty close. But my understanding was that the MLL wasn't like that. That it was like guys come in, guys play, guys leave. And then going and being around that team, it was completely different. Guys knew everything about everybody. Everyone had a nickname. I had no idea who was who because none of the nicknames like made sense to who they were. But talk a little bit about that team and just like the culture that Pseudo kind of built there.
Yeah, I honestly think it starts with Joel White and John Galloway. They roomed 4 years at Syracuse. They were literally best friends, leading up to it. And then, I just – it is weird because, you had, John Rannigan was a big part of that, who's, a Hopkins guy. And then you have, Mike Manley, who's a Duke guy. And, like, they're all around the same age, but, like, there's no connection before that, And I just think that we made an effort knowing that like we were playing at high schools and like our locker room, you'd look up and like there was no roof. It was like, all the electrical cords were like dangling down, and we make jokes like, hey, long poles, like make sure you keep your sticks down. Like, we don't need anyone getting electrocuted. And, guys are we didn't have a lot, but we made the most out of what we had, and we like rallied around that. Like Chucker, Chuck Ragusa was, doing laundry before the games and sewing Rattlers logos on the gloves because the gloves were the wrong. Like people just made an effort, and they wanted to be a part of it. And then once you got a taste of the culture and like what it truly was to be a Rat, and like you look at the fearless leader like Pseudo, who we called Vodka, like. It just all made sense after that, but just a lot of big personalities that love to have fun and smile. And, it would all be closed in with, the famous John Rannigan hug. No one hugs like John Rannigan, so.
What was the bus driver's name?
Dottie.
Yeah. I mean, that's a legend, but.
Dottie.
Yeah. Funny. I mean, that was, again, I was, younger and coming out of college, there was never like, any kind of thought put into like meal stuff or anything like that. But I remember that was the first time we sat down for a meal as a team, and Galloway got his food first and just didn't touch his food until every other single person had gotten their meal. And then like somebody's was delayed. So like by the time he's eating it, it's like freezing cold. But I remember vividly just being like, okay, so there is like, you're not just alone in doing this stuff. Like it's a family in every weekend that you do it.
Yeah, and I remember that, and I still kind of hold that rule to myself. I don't hold other guys that, dinners are getting expensive. Some of these rookies are dropping, $66 for a meal. I'm like, I'll let you eat it warm. I'm not gonna hold you that standard, but I hold it to myself. But I just remember like, having an hour and a half, say our shoot around in the morning was at 9:00. it was like, teams I've been on, it's like maybe 6 or 7 guys go down early to get breakfast, and then you got the second wave of guys. And I just remember always going, to a complimentary hotel breakfast, cereal, powdered eggs, and oatmeal that's been sitting there for a while, and it's just like 99% of the team is sitting there having coffee, without it being mandatory. It was just that organic, love for each other. And those are the memories that you remember forever.
Well, would you say that kind of like, did you feel that transition when you went to the PLL, or were things just a little bit different?
Yeah, things were different. You bring up a new league, and the structure of it changes a lot. And I think everyone's experience is probably different. We've always kind of been plagued by like the NLL and PLL overlap. So like a lot of our known guys were still playing in the NLL, so they weren't at training camp. And that week of training camp is really where you spend the majority of your time. And 6 big pieces of our team just aren't there. And then you're bringing in guys that are trying to fill spots for a game or two, like kind of knowing in the back of their head like, oh, it's going to be hard to hold this spot over like Josh Byrne or Dane Smith or someone like that when they get back. And just I think traveling 6 teams along with a whole production to one weekend, like it's a lot to navigate for the league. And I have nothing but good things to say about the Premier Lacrosse League. Like they gave us a platform. They've done a lot. I think the leagues can learn from each other. Like the media presence that the PLL holds, I think the NLL has a huge opportunity to see the engagement they're getting and the popularity, and vice versa. I think the PLL can learn from the NLL getting a great game day experience, fans in the seats, season ticket diehard fans. Every place you go has a group of 200-300 people that have been going to games since the league's been around, and that's important. That's what you want to see for the game of lacrosse. But just more in and out, they can't, after the games, if we play at 1:00, it's like, why keep these guys around? It's, get them on a flight, get in and out, and we make the best of the opportunities that we have.
Yes, I like it.
I put in my shift. I put in a day and a half at Chaos Camp and played in the game. I lived that, and then got cut because all the guys came back. So yeah. I lived that dream there for a little bit. We got one good game out there in Albany.
You were coming off a national championship though, weren't you?
Yeah. So I got there late, and then played, and then my visa didn't come in, so then I was out, and then never made it back. I was gonna ask any one memory that sticks out as your favorite memory as a fan, and a little fan from all those Nighthawks games over the years.
I mean, I used to, Nabber, Paulie, Nabber. Nabber used to roll around in the Nighthawks pickup truck, and a couple guys might have had it. And I remember, what was the bar that was attached to the hotel that you guys stayed at the Hyatt? Huh?
Back in the day, like the Riverside.
Yeah. It was it was right in like. It was attached to the hotel that you guys stayed at.
Yeah, it was a little corner. Like, it was so small, but it'd be packed to the gills. I won't be able to remember, but I know what you're talking about, though.
Yeah, well, I just remember being with Pseudo, my dad, Chris Schiller, and that's all I thought was in the car. And we're driving back to the hotel from the Blue Cross, and Pseudo gets out of the car and pops open the trunk, and Pat O'Toole was sitting in the trunk, and I had no idea he was back there. And I kind of like, I was probably 9-10 years old. I'm like looking at my dad. I'm like, why do you think he's doing that? Like, he's like, he goes, you never fuck with a goalie's mindset. And I guess that I guess full circle now. I'm a goalie, but I don't sit in the trunk. I sit in the regular seats with everyone. But, yeah. It's the little stories that you remember forever.
100%.
we like to run guys through kind of a few questions, like standardized questions for everybody, get a few different answers from different guys. But the first one is for you. How did you end up picking your number? What does it mean to you?
Um, I was number 10 at Albany. And that as a freshman, you just take what they give you. And
Yeah,
10 was there. And, I got to the PLL and Deemer class was like, 10 means a lot to me. And I was like, no problem, man. I'll switch numbers. I'll just take 0, you know, no attachment to it. And then get the Buffalo. And I was like, oh, 10's available. Took 10 and just really
just
doesn't
stuck
really
with
matter
it.
to me. The joke that I make with people is, that I say that I'm a 10 on and off the field. That's the only relevance of the number 10 or 0 for me. 0 goals allowed. I don't know. But just, you play for the name on the front. So
Yeah. And then the second one is whether it's indoor or outdoor. Do you have any like quirky things that you do with your gear, or like super old gear that you use continuously, anything like that?
yeah, I'm gonna use the same stuff for as long as you can. My goalie sticks are like ripped up, cracked on the side, and I'm like super gluing it and using electrical tape before the game. And I think I've had my NLL pads, a little too long. They're pretty right, but my claim to fame in the NLL up until last year because String King was like, "Hey man, you got to stop using that head." Like that was one of the first heads we released. Like as a sponsored athlete, like you need to use the new shit so the people buy the new stuff. No one's buying that head. But I used the same stick, didn't change one thing on it for my first 4 NLL seasons. Used the same stick. And
And
there's this stick
it
that I
it
would use
previously it
in camps in the rain in the mud. It was my everyday stick. So
I was gonna say, did you just take that from a random teammate on Albany too? Just say, hey, give
no,
me
I
some. I'm
didn't
going to
take that
NLL
one.
camp. Just give me anything.
No, my best friend Derek the Joe, he lives in Texas. He's been stringing my sticks my entire life. I can't even do a shooting string. Never even attempted to string a stick. And he moved to Texas, and I just remember having this stick being like, "Well, now I got no one to string my sticks, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to use this stick for as long as I possibly can." And that's where that came in.
That's great. And then the last one is our kilo question of the week, which is brought to you by our sports hydration partner, which is also hydration partner of the NLL and Kilo there. Um, if you could do anything differently over your career, whether it's from a kid or from college or in the pros, what would you do and why?
It's a great question. Um, it's a really good question. It's hard to look at as you're still continuing to like climb this mountain. Yeah, I think when it's all said and done and you hang it up and you think back more, like there's probably going to be a couple glaring things like that stand out. I would say for me, my parents and my friends and family, I've been so lucky to have support from them my entire career. They make the trips, like they probably been to like 85% of like, reasonable games to be at my entire career. And I just think, at times my competitive nature got in the way a little too much. And, after a loss, it was hard to put a smile on my face, when I had people that were there to support me. And as I get older in my career, like having friends make an effort, having families make an effort to see me and support me. Like it goes deeper than winning and losing at times. And I don't think I really caught on to that, until a couple years ago, like how lucky I truly am to have people in my life that I love and care about, in my corner at this point in my career when they've seen a million games and, they still make the effort and give up their time. So I would say, at times it's great to be a competitor and it's hard to become elite at anything if you don't have that competitive mindset, but learning how to flush it and navigate it when people you love are there after the games and put a smile on your face and stuff like that.
That's a great answer.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
That's awesome, man. Paulie, Donnie, you guys got anything else for Blazer before we let him go?
No,
Awesome,
I
man.
mean, yeah. No, I mean, I kind of want to get into, but it might be long. But winning the Founders in Aquasasne, I mean, that's huge. I remember because I coached Abby Bomber. I don't know if it was the same year or not, but just, I mean, being an American guy, and especially on a reservation, kind of like, what was that experience like? I mean, I think we got to touch on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, Steph Charbonneau was on the team. He's an LO guy, French guy, and our goalie, Sam Veraville, barely spoke a lick of English, like all French. But no, we were lucky, and honestly, it was a great honor. At the time, they were Junior A for a while, and then when I came in, 2013, we were Junior B, and they've never, you talk about the people that have come through Akwesasne and played junior lacrosse and in the minor programs, and they had never won a Founders Cup. So just being able to be a part of that, and over the 3 years, they gave me a Mohawk nickname. They would call me Casados, which means horse and Mohawk, and the announcers would be like, Casados is out there pinballing around, and just building these relationships, and while also being where the game was created, the roots of it was just like awesome. Like we would play in our games, and then they'd be playing backyard lax, and then we'd be watching lax. It was like everyone had a lacrosse goal. It was just an awesome experience, and super grateful for all the people giving me a chance, and roughing me up along the way to help make me become the man I am today.
That's awesome, man.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, appreciate you taking the time to. That's a hell of a chat and a lot to get through. I'm sure we could do a full other hour on just your time with the Worlds and all
No
those.
one wants to hear me talk for another hour. Trust me. No one wants to hear me talk for another hour. But I really appreciate you guys, and obviously a lot of respect for all of you, and I think with everyone's busy lives, the fact that you make an effort to try to get voices heard and continue to grow the game. It's part of our duties as a lacrosse player to leave it better than we found it. And, I'm a big supporter of Back of the Bird, even though, I'm riding my platinum American status and I'm not front of the bird. I don't forget about the people in the back. I don't forget about the people in the back. So
Don't forget about the little
appreciate your
people.
guys' time.
Awesome, man. Well,
Thanks,
thank
man.
you,
That's
and
awesome.
yeah, good luck. Good luck down the stretch here. Big week coming up
big
for the
weekend,
wins
yeah.
here. So
Yeah.
yeah, good luck,
Have fun.
fellas. And we're back. What an interview with Blaze, captain of your Philadelphia Wings, 5-time goalie of the year. You heard it. What a player, what a guy. Let's jump into a little bit of a Sunday recap that had me laughing, sick to my stomach, and eventually crying like a schoolgirl. That was awesome. That was so much fun to watch that golf because I think I've watched tournaments before, but I've never been hanging on to every shot like I was.
I feel like obviously the first couple of days kind of like doesn't matter, but like the Saturday, I mean, yeah, the Saturday was unreal too. Obviously, like playing, but like you have a nap, wake up, get to watch like an hour or two before the game, and even just like kind of seeing after how like it was gonna play out to Sunday, and like who was all involved was unreal. But man, like that Sunday was a roller coaster, and so I was in a Masters pool, and I was in a pool before that I finished second in. So Ian McKay's father-in-law or brother-in-law runs a pool, like a massive pool, good payout. And I was like going up and down. I ended up finishing just outside the money, so eighth. And then like I kind of look at and Shane Lowry, if he played, he was +9 on Sunday. If he was even, I'm like $1,500 richer right now.
No way.
Yeah, I was 2
Plus
strokes
nine?
+9, dude. He was like -5, ended up being +4.
Wow.
So, anyways, so tough end for me, but I was playing with house money. But yeah, I mean, a couple other guys also shit the bed for me, which also didn't help. But dude, like, yeah, like you think Rory's gonna do it, and then I'm sitting there watching 18 shades of U.S. Open last year, like looks like a pretty straightforward putt. and he missed it, it's like, dude, you gotta be kidding me. It's happening again.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. And like, but even leading up to it, like those shots he had, he's just walking after. I've told my buddies, no matter how I hit the ball, I'm gonna start walking after my ball like he does. And like, so if anyone's driving the cart, just park it up to the right a little bit, because I'm just gonna start following my shots in, even if I just skull one. But it was so much fun, man. And like then Rose comes out of nowhere, and then when he finally hit that putt, like that, there's only like I don't know. There's just so much pressure. Like I don't think anyone has been under more pressure. Like with everything that he was like the face of the PGA after the merger.
Yeah.
Like all of that stuff going on. Hasn't won the Masters 11 years. Blah 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 blah. To watch a grown man just crumble and not know what to do with his body out of pure emotion I think that's what makes sports relatable on a like fundamental level, is when other people show pure human reaction to competing in their sport, it makes you feel for them and then become attached to the sport as well. But yeah, it was crazy.
I did have Rory. I'm in another golf ball. I had him winning it though, so that was a nice pick. Nice pick.
That's huge.
I had faith and he was going to do it this year.
I feel like you got to hammer him for every tournament moving forward for the rest of the year, because now he's weight off his shoulders.
But he's been playing so good too. Like it's fuck. But and yeah, 11 years. If you look at all the other 6 guys or 5 guys who did it, it was like year, 2 year. I think the max a guy took was like 3 years to complete the Grand Slam. So yeah, you talk about pressure. It's like he won all those majors so quick, like everybody else, but then like 11 years couldn't do this one.
Yeah,
it's
then
nuts.
He does it. It was cool though. It was it was emotional though. When he talks about his family and all that stuff, it's I'm sure when you have kids too and you're watching that, it's even more emotional. But a lot of fun.
Confession. I
didn't watch.
I didn't watch. I
That's
didn't really even follow it.
I mean, again, I always like followed the Masters when it was on.
Donnie, what the fuck?
Like, dude, if you love golf, like,
I don't even love, like, I play it.
Yeah,
I suck.
I don't know. I got home kind of late from Ottawa, and
I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
What time did you get home? What time did you get home?
Like early enough to still watch the end, but I went for a bike ride instead.
All right.
Yep.
Donnie's lost his man card for a week.
Yeah.
You've got to give
it worked out perfect for me. Got the Masters on, put Coco for a nap. Dory took Mac to a friend's house. Coco got up, brought her down, fell back asleep in my arm for another 2 hours. So I just had like a nice 3 hours of uninterrupted just glued to the television.
That's dad nirvana right there.
Yeah.
There's a lot. There's probably some fathers stroking it to the distance.
Ew, dude, that's his kid. Ew.
No, not like that.
Ew, you fucking weirdo.
The idea of the time I spent a
He's
day
like 2.
I spent a day with my buddy who's got 2 kids, all day Saturday. And holy shit, I don't know how you guys do it. Like, I've just become so used to just doing whatever I want that, like, it's just such – and it's like all it is every day. Like, no wonder people who have kids say days go by – or time goes by so fast, because you're just waiting – you're praying for 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. every day when they go to bed. And then it's like, okay, I can sit down and chill. But it's it was an interesting thing to be around. So I could imagine some fathers are pumped up by Paulie's little Masters Sunday.
I appreciate a little more slack from you 2 on this podcast too, please, for what I have to go through with having 2 kids.
We don't give you any shit. What are you talking
about?
I'm gonna start putting the receipts out then from
support. Maybe if you want more support, that's fine.
Well,
but no,
I would give you
slack. When do we give you? What do we give you shit for?
I would give you a little more slack if you worked more than once or 4 times, four
Yeah,
times a month.
yeah. If you took less than 6 golf trips a year.
Yeah, I can't look after the kids. I'm in Dublin for 2 weeks. Do you have any other ones planned? Talk to me.
Golf
Potentially.
trips.
Potentially.
What's that?
Potentially, yeah.
You don't want to. Oh, you're not ready to reveal them yet. Dory you need to find the right time.
Yeah, right. That's usually the week before.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
no, we got one. It's still in the works right now, but might be Cabot this year. Yeah.
Didn't you do Cabot last year?
No, I did Cabot in 2020 with Dory.
That was 2020?
Yeah. Sorry, 2021. Sorry, I lied.
What is happening to fucking time? Holy shit.
Because Mac was born in 2021.
Didn't you? You went out east somewhere else with Mac and the family.
That was the same trip.
Oh wow, that is a long time ago. Holy.
It was 20. No, it had to be.
It was 22.
No, it was 22. You're right. Because Mac turned 1. Dory was pregnant. You're right. 2022. Sorry.
How long have we been doing this for?
I joined it in fall of 2021.
So there you go.
4 years.
What?
A long time.
I was just starting at Maryland.
I'm looking right now. Paulie, we're coming up on.
When did we start? COVID, like 2020?
May 13th.
COVID.
May 13th, 2021 was our first episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think it was that far before me, but yeah.
Just coming out of COVID or whatever.
I liked looking at the first episode's logo. It was pretty funny. If you, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this.
No.
Probably not.
No.
It just says "Back of the Bird" in gray.
Yeah, I know. Well, that was like the first Instagram post we posted. That was just "Back of the Bird," the words.
Yeah, just here we go. We need a graphic designer. But we got one. Lucky Penny Media. Shout out Lucky Penny. Anything else you guys want to touch on? This is going to be a nice little chunk of an episode.
Nope, I'm all good. Go Dogs.
I had to think about what you were talking about for a second there. That's how disconnected I am from lacrosse now. But no, I am connected. If anyone needs a media guy, Paulie, what do you got going on? Where are you guys this weekend?
We're in Georgia, ending the season in Georgia. So
with a matinee Sunday, or is it a Saturday game?
No, Saturday, which is nice. Yeah, it's better than Sunday. So
Bahama Breeze.
I mean, big game. Yeah, definitely probably double Bahama Breeze as usual. The double. Pineapple chicken.
Yeah.
But we're out Friday, game Saturday, back in Sunday, and obviously kind of big one for them. So, and then realistically, like a potential first round opponent for us. So,
yeah, send a message early.
Yeah, we might go. I think we're going full line brawl. I think off the start.
Well, everyone's going to start fighting.
You're going 4 nations, one by one.
Yeah.
There's going to be 4 guys fighting. The 5th guy won't want to fight Paulie, so he'll be picking up 14 ground balls in the corner to get to 1,000.
Yeah, I need to play 55 minutes of the game to get my 14 loose balls.
Oh, I love it. Well, I think that does it. We appreciate you guys listening. We're going to try to get more consistent with it. It might the laptop will be coming to Costa Rica, so I'll be recording from on island. It's not island time because it's not an island. I don't think. Land's pretty sure it's landlocked. Beach time. Pure. What do they say? Pure Vida.
Pure Vida.
Something like that.
Yep.
That's all I'm going to be saying around the whole place. But we appreciate
Cerveza, por favor. Yeah.
Cerveza Pura Vida.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we appreciate our sponsors. Lucky Penny Media, obviously taking care of us on the graphics front, and Cottage Springs. Get out there, try the springs. I've been hearing the Rocket Pop bag and box. Put that thing in the freezer, and then you got a slushie, and it's just mayhem. So give that a try at your local LCBO, Costco, or gas station.
And keep an eye out for our reality TV show, Lomi Looking for Love in Costa Rica.
Yeah. This is, you never know. You never know. That would be a hell of a show. Just me hiking a volcano alone. All right. That does it for episode 137. We'll chat with you next week.
See ya.